In the vast desert of Canaan, where sand scorches under a sun that seems to burn away all hope, there lived an unnamed woman known only as Sarah's servant. She quietly tended to every task in the camp, silently witnessing the interplay of pride and the aching longing for a child. Hagar, the Egyptian maidservant, carried dreams of a new future within her, while Sarah, the matriarch journeying with Abraham, bore the pain of a promise yet unfulfilled. And that nameless girl, though without a title, held unspoken secrets, poised to make a small act that could shift the current of fate. Would God's grace find its way to anonymous hearts like hers? Join us to uncover this untold story of faith, courage, and the power of a seemingly small act that could shake the heavens. Don't forget to hit follow to explore more hidden women of the Bible and find inspiration for your own faith. Under the blazing red sunset cloaking the Canaan desert, where earth and sky meld into a sea of fire, swirling sand dances in the wind, and the makeshift tents of Abraham and Sarah stand as a vivid testament to steadfast faith amid the harsh wilderness. The weathered canvas sails bulge against dry gusts, taut ropes straining on wooden stakes, swaying to the wind's rhythm, weaving a rustic symphony of nomadic life. Amid this scene, a young girl, Sarah's loyal servant, moves silently through the tent's corners, seemingly tireless, despite the scorching sun that burns her skin. Her eyes, sharp yet tinged with worry, always drift toward the main tent, like a kaleidoscope gaze watching every motion, every hope, and every pain buried deep in the hearts of these noble yet hardened souls. Though a servant, nameless, without status, forever in Sarah's shadow, she quietly shoulders every task, cleaning, cooking, tending the goats and cattle outside. Each morning before the sun's rays touch the horizon, she rises to prepare meals before Sarah and Abraham lift the tent flap to step out. Her hands swiftly pack dried rations, measure the last drops in water skins, carefully keeping sweat from dripping into the thick porridge or simple soup. A mere speck in the vast desert, she is the bridge between the aspirations and anxieties of a wandering family. Sarah, Abraham's revered wife, is often described as a woman of noble bearing, sleek black hair neatly braided, garments of fine wool daisied in desert hues, her face etched with pensive hope. But beneath that resilient exterior lies a profound ache. Years have passed, and Sarah remains childless. God's promise to Abraham that his descendants would be countless, like stars in the sky or sand on the shore, seems forever out of reach. On long nights, Sarah sits alone by the fire, staring at the star-filled sky, her heart twisting in pain. The girl, her faithful servant, often sees Sarah bowed in prayer, eyes heavy with sorrow, as if grasping for something from the infinite. Not far off, Hagar, the Egyptian maidservant, carries a proud beauty laced with bitterness. From her days by the Nile, Hagar has known hardship, fleeing home for freedom, only to be branded a slave, then sold as a servant in Abraham's tent. Compared to Sarah's status, Hagar is mere chattel, yet she holds the hope of salvation for the family. When Sarah decides Hagar should bear Abraham's child in her stead, Hagar becomes a symbol of a new promise. If Sarah cannot conceive, Hagar will carry that sacred mission. In the servant girl's eyes, Hagar shines with pride. But that pride swells with her rounding belly, brewing a silent storm amid Sarah's suffering. The girl, nameless servant, is the silent witness to every conflict. No one records or praises her name, but she is the ear catching every story, every scheme, every whisper. When Hagar enters the tent, eyes alight with boundless longing, the girl sees every shade of emotion, from the pride of being chosen to voice a new path, to the fear in Sarah's hesitant steps as she glances at the maidservant. Then there are Sarah's tear-brimmed eyes, watching Hagar, once a faint figure in the tent, now favored to the point of embodying her own child's promise. The girl dares not speak, keeping her distance, quietly serving water, preparing Hagar's bed, her heart pierced by 1,000 unseen blades. In the world of biblical women, power, status, and worth are often measured by wifehood, motherhood, and childbearing. Sarah, once admired for her beauty and wisdom, now faces an inner void. She knows her sacred duty as a wife, but her body denies her. Hagar, though a slave, carries Abraham's heir, her existence teetering on the fragile line between bondage and a vessel of hope. The girl, nameless server, sees this injustice daily. Hagar is allowed rest amid other servants' hushed mockery, while she drowns in tasks, her sun-darkened hands and feet unacknowledged. Hagar's sleek black hair grows more striking, while the girl's is matted with sand and tangled fibers. And when Hagar shoots Sarah a taunting glance, the girl knows the pride of both women is swelling like a water-filled orb ready to burst. The girl, though voiceless, nurtures a fragile faith that divine justice might appear at any moment. Each time she sees Hagar receive finer rations or lighter tasks from Sarah, her heart grows heavy, but she dares not protest, for a single word could cost her everything: her sleeping mat, her meager meals. Only Abraham, the family's pillar, occasionally meets her eyes with a small nod of encouragement. When he ventures out to hunt or meet other tribes, she catches his fleeting glance, a silent recognition of her work. But Abraham stays mute in decisions, and in the vast golden sands, Sarah's voice holds final sway. Yet in a quiet corner, the girl silently writes her own story. Amid the sprawling, fertile sand, she wonders if her fate is to be a mere puppet in Abraham and Sarah's tapestry, or is she a vital link whose impact only reveals itself in the time? Though all eyes turn to Hagar, bearer of Abraham's line, she realizes silence isn't always the only choice. The raw injustice, Hagar pampered for her mission, while she remains a faceless server, stirs a melody of justice in her heart. Each grain of sand underfoot, each gust twisting through the tents, seems to whisper, "If God blesses Hagar, there's no reason you should stand silently by injustice." In the midday blaze, as Hagar strides into the tent's gateway, belly swollen, eyes brimming with confidence, the girl watches with a storm of thoughts. She knows Hagar isn't weak. She carries the invisible strength of the promise. But that strength also fuels pain. Sarah grows envious, her body gaunt with worry, her soul like a wounded lion, always scheming. Hagar, meanwhile, grows prouder, standing as Sarah's equal in shaping the future. Yet the girl tells herself, if God truly favors Hagar, why not touch my heart, a nameless servant, to bring justice for both? This is the seed sprouting for a quiet act soon to ignite, At dawn's first glow, when golden sand sparkles like strewn gems, the girl rises before all, stepping through thin sand layers, eyes fixed on the main tent where Sarah sleeps, exhausted by unfulfilled hopes. Fear and resolve intertwine in her chest. Speaking her mind is reckless, but silence abets injustice. She claims no heroism, yet rarely does she realize that in her humblest role, she could shift the entire scene. The fine sand seems to murmur, a great upheaval can spring from the smallest act. And in her heart, nameless servant, a notion flares. The biblical world seems to remember only Sarah and Hagar, seldom mentioning those like her who silently endure and witness. She wonders if her story, if told, could inspire those lost in shadows, too afraid to fight for faith. Could an American audience, unfamiliar with Canaan's desert or biblical context, feel the yearning for justice and courage hidden in her quiet gaze? She believes that even one empathetic heart, one stirred soul, could make this tale more than a focus on grand figures. It would be proof of the power in nameless spirits. Canaan's sky falls silent, like a sweat-soaked velvet drape, ready for tears or prayers to echo. The girl, never praised, takes up her own mission, to carve her footprints in desert sand, so that even if winds scatter the grains, those marks endure in the hearts of those who see truth and fairness. In this moment, she is no mere servant, but a seedling craving God's promise, not just for Sarah and Hagar, but for every soul thirsting for justice. And so, with the new day, sunlight bathes Abraham and Sarah's tents, gleaming as if heralding a journey awaiting ahead. The girl, with sharp eyes and a heart full of questions, treads slowly down a sandy path where footprints easily fade. But in her soul, the story is just beginning, ready to be written through silent yet profound acts, never to be forgotten in her memory or in the hearts of those ready to listen. As dawn barely breaks, the Canaan sky lingers in the stillness of a silent night, with only the wind's howl weaving through the dunes. When the first rays stretch from the horizon, softly brushing the desert's brown reed veil, the girl, Sarah's loyal servant, emerges, her pensive figure treading the fine sand. Each step leaves a fleeting imprint, quickly erased by the wind, like her nameless existence among the sprawling tent camp. But in the tender shift from night to day, she's jolted by an unexpected sound from the main tent. A sharp, fractured argument, punctuated by the ragged breaths of his combatants. Approaching Sarah's tent, the scene before her sets her heart racing. Hagar, the Egyptian maidservant in coarse, earthy cloth, her belly now visibly swollen with future motherhood, strides forward, eyes ablaze with joy. It's a moment of stark contradiction. Hagar's boundless delight, yet a silent betrayal piercing Sarah's heart like a needle. A single glance from Hagar is enough to ignite Sarah, once confident in God's promise, with a surge of fury. In an instant, the air around the tent boils, thick with hurried breaths and simmering heat. Sarah's voice cracks like thunder in a clear sky. She cannot bear Hagar's pregnancy, a living testament to the promise Sarah believed was hers, now embodied in a servant. The girl stands aside, eyes quietly tracking, the scene twisting her heart. In her mind, Hagar's image stirs dual emotions: reverence for her sacred mission, pity for her enslaved form. But now, in this moment, she senses Sarah's words brimming with anguish and fear, like a smoldering hatred searing the frail flesh of the pitiable maidservant. Hagar's silhouette glides away, proud yet mournful, leaving behind a wake of impotent weapons. Sarah casts a chilling glare at the girl, the silent servant, her eyes lingering on Sarah's cheeks, etched deep with worry's creases. With unrelenting authority, Sarah commands, "Watch Hagar, every move, every gesture. You must report in detail. If she dares flaunt her pride again, don't think I won't punish her." The words fall like heavy stones into the girl's heart, making her freeze, her pulse tightening. The weight of being handed such majestic yet harsh power chokes the air, as if the desert sand pauses its swirl, forcing her to question. Will divine justice cling to my mission? Or is it just an empty promise, lingering amid life's unfairness? She manages only a nod, swallowing the dry lump in her throat. In that moment, reality crystallizes. She's not just Sarah's eyes and ears, but a silent witness to Hagar's suffering. Her heart churns, each beat echoing a question. Can my steps alter the fate of a pregnant maidservant? Or will they only heap shame on my own fragile existence? An unseen voice resounds in her mind. Look at Hagar. Understand Sarah's pain, but don't let loyalty harden into indifference. Night returns, the desert cloaked in its vast darkness. In fitful sleep, the girl sees a strange light piercing the endless void, cutting through sand layers, guiding across the starry night. The glow isn't blindingly bright nor frailly faint. It's a hazy light, blending night's blue with the deep purple of a vanished dusk. In her dream, she's lost in a sea of sand, that star her only guide. Yet waking, the desert's darkness engulfs her, heavy and bleak. She wonders, what was that light? Is God calling me to rise and do what's right? The next morning, she quietly watches Hagar leave her tent, head held high, but her steps heavier than before. It's Hagar's second day openly pregnant, a tiny sign heralding countless trials ahead. The girl sees Hagar stoop with fatigue, her gait unsteady, as if racked by the fetus's twinges. Flushed cheeks and shadowed, weary eyes make the maidservant a symbol in the girl's mind of both hope and torment. Meanwhile, Sarah's demeanor grows colder, as if her pride in the promise has cracked, replaced by simmering jealousy and fear of being overshadowed. Sarah, once regal, now bears stress's marks. She doles out less water to Hagar, leaving her smaller portions. The girl, forbidden to intervene, can only light the oil lamp by the tent, watching Hagar bow her head, turn away, sigh deeply, and trudge toward the dry grass to milk goats. From the tent's corner, the girl's heart aches with conflicting tides. Duty and loyalty to Sarah, her provider, her shelter, against the dream's echo, urging her not to sit idle while Hagar suffers. She sees a fragile line between the two great women, Sarah and Hagar. Sarah wields power, but Hagar carries sacred hope. Silently watching both, she muses, will God forsake Sarah's anguished prayers? Can he ignore Hagar's pain? The question stabs her soul, fueling tension and conflict. But Sarah, with iron resolve, doesn't relent. Amid the vast desert, her voice booms with authority, repeating, track Hagar's every move, miss nothing. If she dares show pride again, you'll face the harshest punishment. Her eyes blaze with menace, like a dagger poised to strike. In that moment, Sarah's voice feels like a cold wall, blocking the girl from sharing Hagar's pain. With a quiet gesture, the girl bows deeply, a silent vow. Sarah may entrust her with surveillance, but her heart silently bleeds for Hagar's plight. She sighs, tears stinging but not falling. Fear of consequences silences her, yet the dream's star urges, act, even if small. She knows a misstep could spell disaster, not just for her, but for Hagar and Abraham's child's story. By the third day, as if nature senses the strain, Canaan's sky turns unnaturally gray. Stronger winds whip sand grains, mirroring the tangled thoughts in the girl's heart. Hagar, pregnant maidservant, persists with daily tasks, milking goats, gathering wood, even clutching a pot while stooping to pull dry grass for dinner. Each motion blends pride with strain, a messenger of hope, yet victim of a tragic bargain. The girl watches Hagar from afar, heart heavy, before she could feign detachment, avoiding what wasn't her duty. But now, seeing Hagar hide water drops under the searing sun, she vows, I can't ignore this anymore. Loyalty wanes, yielding to a thirst for life and justice. As Hagar tires, moving sluggishly, the girl's eyes sharpen. She recalls the dream's hazy light, whispering that only action can save a soul yet to sigh aloud. The line between loyalty and conscience, already thin, blurs further. Each time Sarah's probing gaze meets hers, her heart pounds. She questions, will God grant me strength to rise above fear? Do I have the courage for one small act, so justice isn't meaningless in this desert? Amid the desert wind's wail, she stands still, poised like one ready to cross a boundary, knowing it could cost everything. As the final dawn light fades in the liminal space between day and night, the girl suddenly sees clearer than ever. If God promised Abraham's descendants would come true, His grace isn't just for Sarah and Hagar, but for all who uphold truth and fairness. If she stays silent, Hagar's fate will languish under oppression, and the sacred promise could erode in resentment. But if she dares confront, lifting fear's veil even once, she'll help preserve the promise's worth, though her name may never be spoken. She nods faintly, eyes tinged with sorrow but firmer. A wrong choice could endanger the family, but silence is a sin, the sin of not defending life's value. A whisper rises in her. Step forward, even with one small act, so justice isn't buried in mockery and bitterness. She closes her eyes, breathes deeply, letting dawn's rays soothe her fear. Opening them, she's ready for the mission her heart calls justice. And so, under the scorching sun, the desert wind still swirls sand. But in the girl's heart, a song of hope rises, a hymn of seedlings ready to sprout in the arid waste. She knows the story's next chapter hinges not just on her, but on the faith she carries when facing the fragile line between loyalty and divine justice. The sand beneath sways as if cheering her next step, the step of a nameless servant, poised to make a small act that could preserve God's promise for ages. Thus, the initial conflict closes, opening a door to trials ahead, where the girl must choose silence for safety or rising to protect the maidservant mother, risking all. Her journey under Canaan's harsh sun begins with a quiet resolve, potent enough to shift the fates of those daring to face justice and faith in the silent desert. In the silent desert nights, when silver moonlight drapes each dune and the tense glow trembles like delicate voile, the girl, Sarah's loyal servant, can no longer hold her silence. Her mind echoes with the dream's starry whisper, urging her not to let Hagar, the Egyptian maidservant pregnant with Abraham's heir, endure her thirst and pain alone. One night, as the tents sink into the desert's thick blackness, the dry wind barely strong enough to trace ghostly shapes, she overhears Sarah's sharp command. Hagar is to receive only a tiny water skin, nothing more. As Hagar sips each drop, her eyes heavy with the sorrow of a parched river, the girl feels her heart clench. It's as if the dancing sand grains posed to share Hagar's suffering. In the dead of night, a courage she's never known flares within her head. She slips from her narrow mat, quietly gathering a sack of dried provisions, thinly sliced venison, coarse barley bread, and a larger water skin. Each step on the cold sand feels exposed, as if the whole desert listens, waiting. Every breath quickens her heartbeat, threatening to burst her chest. In her mind, she questions, if Sarah discovers this, what will I face? Brutal punishment or an exile I can't escape. But the dream's star flickers, tracing a hazy path through the dark, convincing her she's guided by God's unseen hand. She stealthily approaches Hagar's resting spot, a small earthen mound draped with woven cloth beside an auxiliary tent. Moonlight slips through the tent slits, illuminating Hagar's bowed face, chest slick with sweat from thirst. As the girl sets the provisions and water nearby, Hagar's eyes lift, glinting with recognition. But before she can rejoice, the girl retreats into the shadows, heart still pounding, lips murmuring a silent prayer. Hagar, hold fast. Though fate is cruel, light still watches over you. The next morning, the sun rises on the horizon, casting pale golden rays that pierce the smoke rising from the main tent's fire. Hagar wakes, lips cracked, but upon seeing the brimming sack and clear water, tears stream down her cheeks. These aren't tears of pain, but of feeling the quiet love of an unknown soul. Hagar faintly smiles, clutching the provisions, vowing inwardly, though life presses me down, though my status is small, I must stay strong to protect Abraham's blood. Her lips tremble, as if thanking the previous night's moon for orchestrating the girl's act. Meanwhile, the girl hides behind a tent, eyes sparkling with joy, yet cautious. She knows her deed could be uncovered any moment, so she must guard her secret. From that quiet moment, the servant's heart opens to a new calling. Her mission isn't just to serve Abraham's family, but to spread warmth, bringing hope to suffering souls. That crisp morning, Hagar whispers to other maidservants, "Did someone leave food and water for me? I don't know their name, but my gratitude is endless." Slowly, the tale of the faceless benefactor spreads through the camp, weaving into every tent. Weathered maidservants, scarred by whips or forgotten by masters, seek out the girl to share their burdens. Under an auxiliary tent shade, she listens to each sigh, each tear falling on sandy ground. One speaks of yesterday's lashings for spilling water, another of despair from a master's scorn. The girl says little, offering silent comfort through her steady gaze, her unwavering presence. That small act multiplies into a chain of quiet miracles. Whenever Hagar needs, provisions and water appear. When another maidservant faces contempt, a few bread loaves are left at her feet. When an elderly slave aches with joint pain, the girl sneaks herbs from Abraham's stores, grinding them into a paste mixed with water, placed by the tent as others sleep. In Abraham's peaceful camp, hope's echo resounds. Hagar's joyful cries upon receiving food, the tearful gratitude of the healed. All believe an invisible, loving hand guides the girl's small but transformative acts. Yet danger lurks. Beneath the golden sand, Sarah, with a heart steeped in suspicion, begins to notice oddities. Hagar no longer wilts from thirst. She feigns indifference, but Hagar's satisfied smiles by clear water skins fuel her rage. Her eyes blaze with a fierce desire to unmask the one sabotaging her plan to make Hagar suffer. One day, as the girl places bread by a sick maidservant's tent, she hears another servant's venomous whisper, laced with envy. "I know you're up to something shady. If you don't back off, I'll expose you to Sarah." The words burn like embers in her chest, sparking anger, but also dread. The spiteful servant vows to betray her, robbing her of sleep. She wonders, is my act too reckless? Will God guide me when all eyes turn on me? The trials mount when Sarah, on a parched noon, strides toward the girl as she clutches a stash of provisions. Sarah's gaze cuts like a blade, piercing the girl's clumsy movements. Her voice, low but icy, demands, "I want to know who's helping Hagar. If you don't answer, no one will be spared." The girl feels a crushing weight, as if thousands of sand grains pile on her chest, threatening to smother her. Yet she holds firm, meeting Sarah's eyes with calm resolve. Fear must not overpower her faith in divine justice. In her heart, she renews her vow. No tragedy can extinguish life's spark, as long as my heart stays strong. So, in the stifling tent camp, the girl persists in secretly aiding Hagar and other maidservants. Each night she gathers medicine, bread, water, draping a thin blanket over her tracks before slipping away. As she treads the dunes under a lone star, the desert wind sings a ballad of hidden love. Small stones crunch underfoot, pouring courage into her ears. Those seemingly trivial steps become a lever, lifting Hagar and the frail maidservants closer to hope for justice and life. In Canaan's night, trials still await the girl, trials to decide if divine justice outweighs any punishment, any loneliness. Though Sarah grows more vigilant, though envious servants weave lies, she trusts the dream's star will forever watch her quiet acts. For she knows that the smallest deeds, born of love and faith, can illuminate an unjust world, bringing hope to souls adrift in the barren desert. And then, time's river cannot erase her footprints, those of a nameless servant who dared act to weave miracles for suffering spirits. On a sweltering noon, as the glaring sun reflects off Canaan's black sand, Sarah summons all servants and workers to gather before the main tent. The air is thick with arid heat. Faint gusts stir the brown canvas, flinging fine sand in whirls. Her voice, grave as a moonless desert night, cuts through. Everyone must face her probing gaze. She knows someone has been supplying Hagar, the Egyptian maidservant pregnant with Abraham's son, with food and water, and she challenges, Who gave her fresh water and provisions? Step forward now. Each word lands like a sledgehammer, tightening the tense air. Watching the trembling faces, the girl, the nameless servant, feels cold sweat trickle down her brow. Yet her heart holds a steady flame. Her eyes, though quivering, burn with resolve. Many maidservants huddle together fearful, while a few flash admiration, proud on her behalf. Before Sarah's clenched fists and justice-hungry stare, the girl knows if she doesn't step forward, Hagar and the truth will be buried under rumors. Her heart races, each beat gripping her chest. Fear surrounds her, fear of disgrace, of banishment, of losing the tense shelter in Abraham's rare, kind glances. But last night's dawn star flickers in her mind, whispering, "Don't let fear rule your heart. Rise for what's right." The shifting sand seems to pause, awaiting her choice. In that moment, the girl kneels before the crowd, head bowed low, as if offering her soul to her mission. She is the bearer of justice, however humble her status. Her palms are slick with sweat, but she lifts her head once, her eyes speaking more than words ever could. In that suspended instant, the air stills. She feels each breath, each heartbeat echoing in the empty desert. Then she offers a faint smile, steadying herself, a smile of one ready to face any consequence. Standing tall, she meets Sarah's and the crowd's eyes. "Lady Sarah, I'm the one who secretly gave Hagar food and water. When she was cast into the desert, I brought her sustenance. I seek no praise, only God's mercy if I've erred. If I must be judged, let him decide." Her brief words carry astonishing weight, resounding across the vast space, met only by the wind rustling thin tent flaps. Gusts sweep through the camp, carrying a heavy, lingering silence. Suddenly, Sarah's face shifts. She's never heard such resolute confession from a nameless servant. As the crowd stands stunned, absorbing each word like awaiting a beacon, Abraham, the family's pillar, appears. He steps forward, his cloak billowing in the breeze, exuding a striking majesty. His gaze is pensive, then his voice booms like thunder in a clear sky. "I too saw a strange star last night, a streak guiding us. That star lit a path, bearing witness to a courageous act." The thin smoke from the fire at his feet seems to halt, yielding to his words. The camp falls silent, Sarah squinting as if searching her memory. Did she pray for a sign, and did that star answer? Sarah's tense gaze softens, turning to astonishment tinged with emotion. Abraham offers a gentle smile, his voice deep. If that star was God's promise, has he not tasked this girl with a mission? She dared stand for justice, though merely a nobody. Those words melt Sarah's pent-up resentment, revealing the ache of her long, unfulfilled yearning for a child. A tear rolls down her cheek, a trace of maternal love, once overlooked, now surging fiercely. She turns away, hiding shame and emotion. Abraham's words become a key, unlocking justice's gate, not just judging an act, but the hearts that forgot compassion when faced with another's pain. In that sacred moment, Hagar, the maidservant, standing quietly afar, approaches slowly, her eyes blazing with respect. She kneels before the girl, offering boundless gratitude. Whispers ripple among the maidservants, praising the quiet yet proud act. Sarah, her voice now subdued, grasped the girl's hand, her eyes full of understanding and empathy. "I owe you. From now on you serve, but none may scorn your kindness," she says, her words halting but enough to unleash the girl's bottled anguish. The tense wooden pole seems to stand taller, as if embracing the love long buried under time's sand. The girl smiles, tears streaming down her cheeks, not of fear, but of joy, of redemption. In that instant, the nameless servant transforms from shadow to a beacon for the community. Though never etched in history, she now embodies unyielding courage and faith. Every maidservant, every worker in the tents, feels an unfamiliar elation. Through this girl, they see even a humble act can kindle eternal hope in the parched desert. As dusk falls, painting half the sky in fiery red, the image of the girl quietly bowing by Hagar's tent burns into every witness's heart, proof that divine justice always finds its way through layers of desert ash. When Hagar reappears at the main tent, her face radiates an unshakable faith. Her rounded belly proudly displays the growing life within. Gone is the image of the maidservant who once bowed under bitterness. Instead, Hagar's eyes blaze with joy, a radiant hope mirroring God's promise to Abraham. Each step she takes carries the warmth of new life, easing the camp's collective breath. Behind her, the nameless girl, Sarah's loyal servant, stands quietly amid the fine golden sand, her gaze brimming with love and fulfillment. Though traces of sleepless nights linger faintly on her cheeks, in the girl's heart burns a humble pride. Her silent acts help shield the seed of the promise, sparing Hagar from the desert's harsh desiccation. Though her identity remains unknown, the affection and admiration of other maidservants become a priceless gift. Each stolen glance, each subtle nod from a fellow servant is a wordless thank you. Hagar, in that moment, says nothing, offering only a gentle smile, like a mother-to-be welcoming a hard-won angel from some distant sky. The girl, still slipping into the tent's shadow, is the quiet source of that joy. Life in the camp continues, but the venomous whispers and bitter jealousy have faded. Instead, Hagar moves freely, her steps no longer faltering from thirst. Under the sunshade, the girl quietly tends to Abraham's household, cooking sweet barley soup, rationing cool water, gifted to Hagar like a miracle. But instead of anxiety, she now works with a heart full of hope. Each time she sets a warm bowl of porridge by the glowing fire, Hagar seeks her out, bowing in gratitude. Hagar's eyes, bright as speaking gems, overflow with comfort and trust that she's not alone in this barren land. The other maidservants in the camp shift their demeanor. No longer wary or fearful, they approach the girl as a source of solace, sharing tales of rejection by masters, nights without enough water, hurried meals leaving them hungry. In each story, the girl listens silently, meeting them with warm eyes, then quietly offering sacks of dried rations, skins of cool water, gifts needing no introduction. This quiet sharing not only sustains their strength, but fosters a belief that, in the harsh desert, human kindness can outlast any sandstorm. Thus, the girl labors silently for over a moon cycle, never claiming credit, yet her mission spreads wider. Each morning, as dawn's soft light drapes the tent canvas, she ventures out carrying water skins and provision sacks across the camp. Even those beyond Abraham's small tents, hearing whispers of the nameless servant, raise curious, respectful brows. In a world prizing fame and power, her humble, heartfelt acts become a spoken tale stirring all who hear. Amid Hagar's glow, the soon-to-be sacred mother, and Sarah's noble stature, a woman yearning for God's promise, the nameless girl is a bridge, keeping hope's flame alive. But the harsh desert always harbors risks. Under Sarah's keen eyes, no change goes unnoticed. At times, Sarah watches Hagar with scrutiny, then glances at the girl, probing for clues. Occasionally, Hagar catches the girl stealing a glance, her eyes offering quiet comfort. Hagar realizes it's the girl extending a warm hand, shielding her from the night's darkness. From then on, Hagar shows her gratitude openly. Passing by, she lightly squeezes the girl's hand, a wordless thank you. The gesture assures the girl that, though her acts go unsung, sincere affection touches every heart. Warm laughter replaces once solemn silence. Former maidservants who hid behind small tents now gather around the girl, sharing rough bread, holding hands in prayer. A sense of community blooms among the lowest in the biblical social order. A shared home where compassion and faith erase divides. The girl, though just a nameless servant, becomes a guiding light, not dazzling, but enough to stir parched hearts. As time passes, Hagar's heart grows with each tiny pulse in her womb. When her pregnancy reaches term, her radiant smile forces Sarah to acknowledge God's promise has come true. Hagar's steps grow steadier. Each glance at the girl sparkles with gratitude, like the desert's first rain. Sarah, no longer tense, sometimes looks at the girl with regret for past suspicions. In the girl's heart, an unprecedented contentment blooms. She not only helped Hagar nurture a precious life, but sowed hope for a nomadic family, weathering countless storms. To our American viewers living in a modern world of conveniences, you may still face trials like Canaan's desert. Hunger, yearning for comfort, wealth gaps, tangled relationships that shake us all. Yet, if each of us dares to rise, offering a timely smile, a loaf of bread, or a cool drink to someone parched in their own winter night, the world around us will warm. Let humble, heartfelt acts become your guiding star, lighting the path for those lost in life's maze. When courage and mutual care lead, even the smallest deeds can plant seeds for positive change. Thank you for following the untold story of Sarah's servant, a silent yet profoundly brave witness. Please subscribe, leave a comment, and share widely with American audiences to spread faith, love, and courage. Join us next time as we uncover another bold woman in the Bible, igniting endless inspiration for your life.